Hello, everyone, and welcome to Creativity Conversations. This is episode 7. Creativity Conversations is a series of soulful, unscripted chats about the creative life, its flow, its blocks, its rituals, and its power to transform. Whether you're a maker, a muse, or just creatively curious, you're welcome here. No polish needed, just presence. So there you go. I am TarotStache. Thank you very much for joining me today. I am joined by the amazing Linda de Gonzalez. Hi, Linda. And
Hi.
Diana, oil painter or oil painter -DB. You're still that way?
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know what I am. It shows up differently all the time. But I started using a lowercase b for my last name when I got
There you go. There you go. And all of our links are below. Please do the thing and help us out by subscribing to all of our channels. It's great to have everybody here. So do that thing, like and subscribe because it's free. And as always, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really. So, oh my gosh, I'm thrilled to be here. This creativity conversation is one that the three of us sort of talked about almost a month ago, I think.
Yeah, at least a month ago. Yeah.
It's, and so it's about brainstorming.
Yeah.
Brainstorming. So it's a lovely opportunity to talk about brainstorming. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is brainstorming really and how can it unlock your deepest wells of creativity. In this session today, we're going to explore powerful and very practical ways to brainstorm effectively, blending best practices with playful, intuitive, and even some magical approaches. Whether you're mapping out your next big project or seeking sacred sparks of inspiration, this conversation is going to help you turn idea storms into real radiant action. So, boom. So how's that?
Chakalaka.
Boom, chakalaka, boom. Yes, 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 yes. I would like to say hello to the best chatters, because guess what? We have the best chatters.
We do.
We have the best lurkers. We have
Incontrovertibly.
the work lurkers, and we have the future lurkers. And for those of you who are watching in the playback, thank you very much. It's great to have you here. Do feel free to leave a comment as you're watching the video in the playback. So it's like, woohoo. So, okay, I was telling Linda and Diana backstage, we may have to do a part 2 of this because there's so much good information. So it's like, woo. So,
I can get jiggy with that.
Yes, yes. I mean, there's one snort.
I'm hashtagging you.
You're hashtagging, okay. And so Shenanigans is here. Julie Ann, Beth I was downstairs doing laundry, and when I heard the intro music, I thought it was my air conditioner jamming out. Ooh.
Now there's some creativity for you.
There you go. Timmy is here. Jane, Russ Bob's Barbara, Kaylee. Yeah, instructions on how to be entertaining while you entertain in a way you're entertaining ways.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Put that to music, why don't you? That's awesome.
Right.
Linda Bishop is here. Pamela, what were you going to say, Linda?
I was just going to say, so if you if you see comments under your name that you didn't write, that'll be me.
I figured that.
Yeah, I tested that hypothesis and I am indeed correct.
Yes. And by the way, tomorrow at this time, Linda de Gonzalez and Gerald of TarotStache are doing a show. It's a laugh and learn about tips for creating a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
Some of our own practices and things like that. So,
We have lots to say about it. So if
oh my
you
God.
do we ever it,
Yeah.
and that's up to him. I
Yeah.
mean, okay. Uh if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel, or if you know someone in the community who's going, oh, maybe, I've already whacked Rossi about the ears and told her to be here. So yeah, please show up, because we want you to succeed. Okay. Anybody who wants a channel, please open it up, start, learning and do it. You prepare yourself as best you can, but we do want you to succeed, because we really believe that we all succeed together.
Yes.
You know,
As well as
is our is our success as a community. So you're not going to find us trying to hold you back or give you bad advice or anything like that. Okay, well, you stick around, Timmy. We'll be here tomorrow. And
yes. One of the great things also is I've been doing research, not just from my own experience, but using the interwebs to help for some good ideas. There's things that I'm like going, I sent some information to Linda and I'm like going, I haven't done these things that they've suggested. I need to
I
get on
know,
that.
me neither. But well, we'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll just shut up and save
So,
thunder for the show.
Kristen Louise, I'm going to write that down because that is something that I'm making a note. And by the way, we're talking about our own experience.
Yeah.
We're talking about our own experience. We're not talking about anybody else's. We're talking about ours and what we've learned and what we're working on.
Yeah.
But we today are talking about brainstorming. Brainstorming. And so we're going to start with okay, some people, have you all heard the term brainstorming? Is that something that you've heard, or so? Have you heard that term before?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
For decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, the curiosity about it started when I was about 12 years old, because I'd already heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
not a spring chicken, in case you haven't figured that part out.
I thought you were 19 like me.
Well, I'm actually 18 and I can do what I want.
Oh, I love this. I asked this and Beth goes, duh. So brainstorming, some key things to do. And by the way, when I was a trainer, I taught some classes about brainstorming. I taught 2 different classes. One of them was for managers and supervisors, and the other one was for employees, non-management staff. So one of the first things that you do with brainstorming is, okay, well, wait a minute. Let me here. Everybody take a sip.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because I'm like going, ooh.
Why don't you go sit on the couch?
Brainstorming. Yes. Brainstorming is a way to gather ideas and collect all of the possibilities that show up in flashes of lightning and huge bolts and little drizzles. And it's an opportunity to gather them, because with those ideas, there's a whole lot of possibilities. Now, one of the first things that you should do with brainstorming is to defer judgment. Deferring judgment, no idea is too wild in the initial phase, because what it does is it encourages safety and it fuels the idea of divergent thinking. Let's think differently. So no idea is too crazy. Any thoughts about that deferring judgment?
Yeah, because if you don't, people are just going to shut down.
Right. It's like only finding the wrong things in your pets or your children, your young children, and never allowing room for their own thought process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
My
it
way
also,
or my way.
it also yeah, that's right, Beth. Don't end it before it started. The thing about brainstorming is that clearly you're looking for ideas that you don't already have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And towards some goal, some
Yes.
maybe the beginning of a solution, maybe the beginning of a new whatever, towards some goal. But if you start judging ideas as soon as they come out, first of all, you're limiting them and
Yes.
and hurting the people who are offering them. Okay. And you're also restricting that flow of ideas in whatever direction your judgment, your correction lies. So
Yes.
the solution will not reflect the brainstorming, it'll reflect your notions of what a solution will be. So it's not a true brainstorming. I mean, aside from all of the harm that you do from people by saying, well, that was a dumb idea.
Well, you know, it's like,
oh, I'm going to have to get Her Majesty. Excuse me for a moment.
Okay. Okay.
It's like going to a tarot card reader. No. Like, you know,
disagreeing
right?
everything.
So it's like if you are looking for someone else's angle because you've reached that quandary part of the journey for whatever it is you're on, right?
Yeah. And part of it is what happens oftentimes in a brainstorming session is the person with the most power, if they say something, everybody globs onto that and everyone agrees to that. The idea of brainstorming and deferring judgment is that you are just collecting ideas. This is part one. Timmy shared, if you eliminate too many possibilities in the beginning, you have no room for trying different ideas in different combinations. Sometimes something looks lame by itself, but brilliant otherwise. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're doing a brainstorming session, it is important to understand what you're trying to do. The leader of the brainstorming session needs to be clear on what we're doing. So if I were to say, we're going to be brainstorming ideas about how I can do fabric paintings online and alive, we can write that up there. There you go. That's the idea. So we defer judgment. Then the other thing is to aim for quantity. The more ideas equal more chances for quality. Quantity leads to breakthrough combinations. And this is documented from IDEO, the organization IDEO. So thinking about that, by the way, they have great video content. I was watching that 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So more ideas, more chances for quality. So any thoughts on that aiming for quantity?
Well, it's a numbers game, right? If you spew out enough, something's bound to be a gem.
Oh, I think so. Well, and what is also beautiful about that is when you get everything out there, and then you move to phase 2, which is then with the point where you evaluate, which is you don't do it at the same time. You actually have a little bit of a break. Then you come back with using a different portion of your brain to think it through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
it's like we can also compare it to cooking, right?
mm-hmm.
This spice, this, and can you put too many spices in? Yeah. Can you put too many of the wrong combination? Yeah. Does that make it a bad spice? No, just not in
Correct.
the stew.
Yes. Yeah. Shenanigans said, even the idea that's already been tried could have a different way of executing it that could achieve the desired result. People forget that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maru brought up the key concept of brainstorming is no rejection of concepts. Yes.
Man, the
And
best chatters are bringing it today.
yes.
Look
Creativity
at
is
it.
refinement of ideas. Start with crude ideas, then polish them up as you go evaluating. Yes. So another thing to do with brainstorming is you build on ideas. The whole idea of this is you encourage that yes and thinking. For those of you who have ever studied acting or improv, yes and is the key component.
You keep slipping.
And part of that is it does spark collaboration. And this is from Harvard Business Review, the idea of yes and. So if Linda says something, Diana says, oh, yes, and I can add on to that. Oh, yes, and that energy has built up.
Mm-hmm. We're doing it, right? We're doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and it's such a great, it is such a great energy when that happens in a group, when it builds up. It's just people get so enthusiastic. They get, even Wanda, they get so enthusiastic. They just, and then you see the sparks fly, and then you see people really get engaged, and it's just wonderful to watch that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing happen. The
Yes.
whole yes and,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And
Yeah.
you never know who's going to surprise you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do have some suggestions for encouraging the brainstorming flow in a little bit. And Maru said, yes, stretch your mind to the farthest reaches of possibility. Oh, here you go. Know your paradigm and see outside of it.
Love it.
I do think the best brainstorming sessions that I've experienced, especially where I used to work, when we would pull people from other departments in to help with the brainstorming. At one point, our marketing team invited groups from all of the departments in the system to brainstorm about what they were considering moving forward. It was brilliant because I read tarot. Some people may read oracle. Some people may not read any of those. That's pretty significant.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing to do is to okay, so deferring judgment, aim for quantity, building on ideas, and then go for wild ideas. Seemingly absurd ideas often lead to innovation. Think about that. Make it really, really outrageous. So I love that. Any thoughts on that? Go for the wild ideas.
I'm good at that.
Yes.
Even Wanda thinks so.
Yes.
The outlandish can always be refined, but it's always a good place to start. Because if you think about what you're like as a teenager, you can be extremely outlandish with that behavior of, I'm absolutely right and there's no room for anything else. But then you start to learn, right? You refine.
I am oftentimes wrong, but I will oftentimes say, well, I'm not quite sure I fully understand what's going on. Let's figure something out. Let's do something different. So, okay. We are going to, oh, look, I love it. It's changed things. I do think that this is an important thing for brainstorming. This section of the video is brought to you by the word laugh. Everyone say it with me. Laugh. Laugh. To show emotion, such as mirth, joy, or scorn, with a chuckle or explosive vocal sound. Have a good laugh and like, share, and subscribe to our channels. Laugh. Yes.
Can we add the word snort to that description?
I can when I do it because what that does. Go ahead, Linda.
An explosive vocal sound. A snort is not actually vocal; it's nasal.
Not the way you do
it. And we just got another snort. Here's the thing. Here's
I thought you could use the word cockamamie.
Well, don't give all of the secrets away. I mean, well, and here's the thing. A lot of times laughter is what's needed to shift the energy. If things are getting too serious in a brainstorming session, do something different with it. Laugh about it. Have some explosive snorts come up. So I think this is, yes. And laughing is my favorite activity.
I like that.
Yes, it's mine too. So also, we go for wild ideas. We also need to visualize these ideas. This is from the Journal of Visual Languages. Part of that is using sticky notes or digital whiteboards are wonderful because it engages different parts of the brain. Sticky notes are wonderful. Different colors, different markers, and sticking those all up, because a lot of times those ideas are coming faster than we have an opportunity to say them in the group setting. So we put them up, we capture them, and we go, boom, there's that. Boom, there's that. So we can have a lot of fun with that.
I'm chuckling right now because this is the second time today that sticky notes in different colors has been brought up in conversation about how to talk and language and what to do with your thoughts and how do you change when you're negative and when you should be looking in the mirror. There's a note that says, God, I love you. Hello, gorgeous. Things like that. Mm-hmm. And basically, this use of sticky notes is still the same thing. We're just changing the subject matter.
Yes. One of the things that I used to say to my staff, I had a great staff. I had a staff member who thought in Excel. That's the way her brain worked. I had a staff member who thought in PowerPoint. That is how her brain worked. I had a staff member who thought in Word. That is how her brain worked. My brain worked in sticky notes. And what's great is everybody, working with people, it was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's like, think of it this way. Let's just get all of the ideas down on the sticky notes. Then we can organize them and then put them into a spreadsheet put them into a PowerPoint, put them into a database, put them into a Word document or a PowerPoint. So
I mean,
there's
you
a
say
great way to
Excel
organize.
and you say Excel and database, and I, my heart goes pitter patter, pitter.
Yes, yes, yes. But if you were to tell me that I had to brainstorm like that,
No,
my brain would implode and I would shut down.
but I don't brainstorm like that.
Yeah,
Like
how do
that,
you brainstorm?
that's how I like to organize information. That's not how I generate information. Okay. And
Notice the difference there. That's how
yeah,
she organizes.
yeah. It's not anywhere like how I generate ideas. I generate ideas by talking with people, by going around and on my own saying, gee, what could I do with this? I have this stripy yarn over here. Is there enough to make a pair of socks? Or, I'm not going to make another damn scarf. Geez, I've got like 15 of them. You know, all of that sort of like, um, all of that stuff goes on in my head. And then I talk to somebody else who's a knitter. This
Yep.
is just all hypothetical, but yeah, I generate ideas one way or in a variety of ways, but I organize them in this very database kind of a way.
And that's what works for you.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful. Y'all are one of the safest spaces I've found in a long time. Aw. And this
Nice.
is Brit,
Love you.
correct?
This is
Brit.
Brit
Okay.
shenanigans.
I gotta, get off of my butt and email Brit and go, hey, come to the show.
This is
Timmy
Brit,
said,
the giver of my favorite child.
aw. Timmy said, analog, I use spiral bound artist sketch pads to draw out ideas and plans. I use Google Keep as note-taking thing on my cell phone. I use each every day. This is wonderful. A math brain, a color brain, a word brain, and a sticky brain.
Yeah.
Seek outsiders. Car racing pit stop folks studied. That's good. That's great. And yes, ER teams work to improve their systems. I think we can all benefit from improving our systems, especially when we're trying to create systems that enhance our creativity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but Pamela's comment is like the two of them go together. It's like a whole sentence. Car racing pit stop folks studied how ER teams work to improve their systems. Brilliant.
oh yeah.
Freaking brilliant.
Yeah,
That's-
because they certainly both are the same pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pressure.
I
And this is a real question. Wait, there's a limit of scarves? Said no one ever.
know,
Ever.
but I get tired of making them, and
Well, yes. Okay.
they're boring. I'd rather do something interesting.
Well, then you need to find some interesting scarf patterns.
Brainstorm. Shawls.
There you go. Okay, so one last thing to do is to put a time box on it. Use time limits to keep energy and the focus high. Part of that is we've only got 5 minutes to come up with a 500 ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at Linda's face, because let me tell you, once Linda puts down her coffee or her beverage, she is like going to go, y'all better show up because I got 400 coming out of my mouth right now.
If you're not here, you're not going to hear.
People, I don't understand. Like, you want ideas? There's like millions of them. They're just like floating out there. And I'm not just talking about that book, Big Magic, but if you're asking me for ideas to do stuff, I can usually come up with 5 immediately. And if you give me a couple hours, I can come up with 10 more. And It's not like I work at it. They fall into my head almost literally, I speak I mean, this is
Yes.
how it feels to me, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person, and I might write a word down on a scrap of paper and then be looking for the paper forever. But if I get a mental image, like, just you know how there's all those patterns in the rocks and the crystals that we have. When I get that mental image, it doesn't go away, and that triggers what that word was that I wrote down on a piece of paper. So
Yes.
there's, lots of ways, but always, always, if you're not here, you can't hear.
Mm-hmm. Timmy did share avoid fatigue when trying to be creative. Once you get tired and grumpy, the productive time has ended.
And step away from the painting.
Yes. Yes. Put down the knitting. You're muted.
I
You're
forgot.
unmuted. Okay, what were you going to say?
Put down the brush. You're done. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe just for today, but maybe the painting is done too.
Or even for 5 minutes.
Yes, yes. Sip, sip. Sooner or later, you're going to have to relieve yourself of that water, that fluid,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing. Move around to get you back in your body.
Yeah.
Well, that's why group participation is key. Diversity breeds new things.
Let's hear it for diversity.
Yes,
Best places I
Absolutely.
ever worked had
yes.
people there from all over the funnest places, the best environments had people from everywhere in them, and boy, I love that. Boy, I love that so much.
Brainstorming. What to avoid? Avoid
Mm.
early criticism. We mentioned this.
Yeah.
Early criticism shuts down the creative flow. This is all the way back from 2003 from an article in Journal of Applied Psychology. Early criticism, if somebody says, well, that's a stupid idea, suddenly, if we're in a room of 10 people, 5 of them have gone, I'm out. And you're not going to get anything from them. So,
Or ignoring anyone.
yeah. Oh, ignoring
Just
people.
flat out ignoring people.
Yes. This next thing, to what to avoid, and it's a challenging to do. If you have a skilled facilitator, it works very well. You want to avoid something called anchoring, and this is when you want to prevent the first idea from dominating.
Oh God, yes.
Encourage individual idea generation. I've got some more suggestions for that. So yeah. Yeah, there you go. Avoid a-holes in creative situations. Yes. Yes, please do. You also
Try to
want
avoid
to,
them altogether.
yeah, altogether. That's helpful.
Yeah.
You also want to avoid that idea of groupthink. This is to, you want to combine solo and group work to avoid conformity. Because groupthink is like if Diana says something first, oh, that's a really good idea, Diana. And then you're heaping all of the praise. Brainstorming, the initial phase of brainstorming, is not a time for criticism. You are not evaluating it. Evaluation comes after the initial brainstorming. So, and you have to avoid dominating voices. What do you think that means? Linda, what do you think that means?
I think it means like unless it's like a bunch of friends, and even then sometimes there's one person who tends to take up the oxygen. Usually it's the manager, in a group, and unless they're really mature and really, yeah, one person taking up all the oxygen, you have to manage them. Exactly, Madam Maru.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Beth.
And
Well, the yes, ma'am, yes, sir, the yesers.
Yeah.
You want the yesers. You
yeah.
want, well, but what? How can we don't need all of that. We only need this part. And don't concern yourself with.
Now's not the time to think about to
Yeah.
evaluate that idea. Use somebody's idea and allow it to inspire some new concepts and
Yeah.
write those down on the sticky notes.
Yeah.
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 That's great, Diana. This is the dominating voices are the ones who are, they're the dynamic individuals. They're going to be the first ones to speak, and it jades everybody.
Well, and they wouldn't be calling a brainstorming message if it was all meeting, if it was all about their ego. They want all these people in there to talk. So so do so. And you go outside and go to play baseball, you're all on the same playing field.
Yes. So brainstorming, how can you foster creative flow? One of the suggestions come with making the space where everyone feels like they're safe to say whatever they think, regardless of how crazy it is. That's avoiding criticism, ensuring everyone has an opportunity to speak. There is no judgment. The facilitator, I always liked facilitating brainstorming sessions. I know that may be a surprise for some of you. I loved it because I was like going, yes, and what else might happen? Yes, and what else might happen? Because when the flow got stuck, it was me. I was the plumber. I was going, yes, and what else? What else? What else? I would get the plunger out. Yeah. The other thing is you can use some playful energy, play some playful music. That's that. Also, that point is, as I jokingly said, but seriously, if you've been sitting for a while, get up and move around, get back into your body. When I'm brainstorming stuff for my shows or creative stuff, I need to be standing. I can't be sitting while I'm doing it. I need to be in my body and adjusting that flow.
Yeah.
And adding in nutritious snacks like fruits and vegetables, maybe some cheeses, or, but you don't want to give somebody a heart attack and they're going to overdo on the salt intake.
Of course.
Blah. But if you keep it nutritious, some people just need to be shoving the potato chips in their mouth to think. And so if it's available at your leisure, not when we say we're going to break for a meal, but you can go and get a snack while you're doing this, it helps to keep that, you're salivating, right? You're swallowing, you're filling yourself up, and those are all filled with ideas.
I love that.
And that's a way of grounding too, is with food.
Yes. Yeah. This is where I did a show about this in Creativity Conversations. Sometimes limits are very freeing. Limits or constraints can be very helpful. 5 minutes. We've got 5 minutes to generate as many ideas as possible, and especially if you could make it a bit of a competition. You've got 2 groups. You could actually say, okay, we've got 2 groups here. The group that gets the most ideas gets this prize.
A Hershey's candy bar.
Or, something like
or whatever.
That. Yeah.
Exactly. When I know from working with kids, when you break it up into a group that's appropriate for their age and have several of those, and everybody works together and the ideas are flowing, and then you bring that together to the table, it just keeps it going.
Yeah, I love that.
And it helps to incorporate where the similarities are in that thought process of separation. And that in itself is a unifying energy. As empaths, we know that, right?
Yes. Yes. More stream of conscious, so people don't have time to overthink and stop themselves.
Yes.
Love that.
Yes.
Love
So
that.
you don't filter yourself. You don't filter yourself. You don't say, oh, these guys are going to hate this idea. You just go ahead and say it anyway, you know?
Yep.
Mhm. Yes.
Yep. That's awesome.
Well, and there's also ways to warm up a group to make it an exciting thing. For creative flow, sometimes colorful sticky notes, colorful markers, crayons, and you're going to get people in every group that's going, what am I, a child? Well, let's hope.
Yeah.
Let's hope we've got
right?
some, you know, some creative ideas.
Trendy music, not shopping cart, not not the kind of stuff you hear in the elevator, but trendy music or things that reflect
Yes.
the majority of your age in their teenage years when all the juices were flowing.
Or you
Smoking
hire,
Keys by Bob Seger.
or you hire someone like Timmy Ravens, to be a DJ and to bring his bass guitar in and to give us a soundtrack. No pressure. How's that for a brainstormed idea? No pressure, Tim. No pressure.
Right? Just make it Debussy when
So,
it's time to take a break.
so there is one, I have a couple of things that I want to share about that. Tim's like, okay. Some other things that I have found that are really helpful. This is specifically from the training material that we used, is encouraging, I called it pre-brainstorm thoughts. we're going to start brainstorming. Before we actually get up and start brainstorming ideas, I want to give everybody 2 minutes by this timer to write down all of their crazy ideas and their brainstorms. Then what happens, instead of the people like me who are extroverted and are going to start spewing stuff out, it levels the playing field. Suddenly, everyone has something written down. You have given people an opportunity to go, okay, there's that. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's probably
necessary.
Yeah.
Because there is a voice, and those who are less extroverted now have opportunity to use their voice.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Linda?
Sorry. It's sometimes people. Okay, so I facilitated meetings for like 20 years every week, and it was torment until I figured out a way to make sure that everyone was heard. And this way of having people write everything down, that's like step one.
Yes.
Because it gives space and silence where nobody's taking up the oxygen and everybody can be with their thoughts and not have it immediately filtered. So, like there's not the immediate feedback that's either going to pump you up or blow you down.
Exactly. Thank you.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was something that I had to learn. I learned that from one of my staff members whose husband suggested me reading the book Quiet. I don't know who the author is. I've mentioned it before, but it's understanding people who are quieter than me. It's called Quiet, and it was a phenomenal book. There's also that idea is thinking about and really incorporating it in is that yes, and this is the wild card. yes, and oh my gosh, because what's going to happen when you all come back and you watch part 2 of this brainstorming session where we're going to brainstorm something, there's going to be an opportunity to where I'm making this up, but I expect it to happen. Diana is going to say something. Linda's going to go, oh, yes, and I'm going to go, oh, yes, and what's happened. And then Diana's going to come around and go, oh, yes, and suddenly all of these things, it's a full circle thing.
Yeah.
The
And then we get
snowman.
all really excited and talk over each other and go,
And see, and
Right.
that's the thing, as a facilitator, when everybody is talking over everybody, it's a beautiful mix of frustration and excitement.
yes.
Because everybody has got so many ideas they want to get out.
Yeah.
As a facilitator, I have to go, okay, everybody start writing these things down. We've got a lot of good flow. Don't miss these ideas. Jot them down. I am, and by the way, hashtag tune in tomorrow. I'm always got a notebook around me so that when an idea comes up during a conversation on a live, I'm writing it down. You'll see that funny thing afterwards. So yeah, engagement is rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Ideas presented in, on an even playing field. Yes. Setting up a safe place. Nobody is right or wrong is necessary. Yes. Ooh. Tim had a brainstorming session about a tarot square show.
I've been thinking about that for like months now.
Wait, are you guys sharing your thoughts?
They're
Psychically?
yeah, probably. Beth said, I guess it's a given that we must go to the root, to the foundation, in order for ideas to take flight. There must be safe place to allow that.
Yeah.
We also go back to the idea of we have to be clear of purpose. And so as a facilitator, we have to go, okay, we're halfway through our time. Here's what the focus is. Because when you're all juicy and your brain is going and your creativity's flowing and getting everywhere, when we go, okay, and we're looking at this topic, everybody goes, ooh. So yeah. So then, timed rounds are really great. Timing, structured debrief. That's where you make it okay for we go, okay, now let's look at these ideas and what might the groups be to collect these. What those could be depends upon what the subject matter is. And then you can do that idea of action planning. What are we going to do now with these? Because one of the things that I like to do is I like to try to think of conventional way of doing something, a creative way of doing something, and then a hybrid way of doing something. Are those like Venn diagrams? What could that look like? I don't know.
Yeah.
Trying to break the mold of the historic way of doing things.
Yes.
Yes. Oh God. Yes, please.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, okay.
I'm so done with, we've always done it this way, but why?
We have all these new tools that you went out and bought, and now you're not going to use them? What's that?
Sweet Lord Almighty. 20 some years ago, I started working in an office. And this is long after there was WordPerfect and long after, like a good 10 years, 15 years after those things came on the market. And there was a Selectric typewriter in the back of the office. And you know what they used it for? Nobody could be bothered to figure out how to print envelopes using Word. So they took them to the Selectric typewriter to freaking type out the name and address on the envelope. I just stood there with my mouth hanging open and said,
can't read the
yeah, well, okay, I'm not doing that. All right. I'm not doing that.
There's directions for how to fix this.
Well,
Yeah.
and one of the great things is we can have brainstorming when new situations come up. Back in early 2020, there's something that happened that shut the world down and changed the way everybody operated. Businesses were scrambling and brainstorming how to make things work. That's an example of brainstorming, because there is a great sense of urgency, as well as, well, oh, we've never done this before. Great, we're doing it now.
Yeah.
Okay, here's something I did send Diana and Linda some information about brainstorming as an artist, mystic, and a maker. This is where a little bit of that spirit-infused creative guide comes into play. And so, oh yeah, here you go. Yes. And I resist change, especially change that I don't control, that I don't fully understand it. It's scary AF.
Yeah.
So brainstorming as an artist. So I have a friend who helped me to put these into a framework. Their name is Quill. I'll introduce you to them later. Stay tuned. It's a good opportunity for you to like and subscribe. Ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of that. So thinking about brainstorming as an artist and a mystic and a maker, what might be some things that, if you want to elevate a brainstorming session, what are some things that you can do just in general? I'm going to put Diana on the spot. What are things that you could do immediately to elevate brainstorming to an artistic, a mystic, or a maker level?
Oh, okay, so I'm going to teach you how to make a altered art journal, all for Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get started, not only am I going to have a pile for you to work with at your own discretion, I'm going to decorate with little tidbits of your childhood memories of Disney movies, Alice in Wonderland. No matter what age bracket you're in, because there's so many of them. We could go all the way back to the one with, what was his name? The one from the 30s and late 30s, 1936 and 1938, I think, is when the second one came out. And, so there's just so many different ones to pull from, as well as the original book. And so you could just, little things like that trigger that artistic joy, the memory of the joy, if you're, trying to do it in a mystic way, well, Alice was pretty out there.
Sure.
And as a maker, then you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody sitting at the table watching you do this book is going to get an idea and try to do something else. And it's not competitive because there's no mistakes, just happy coincidences.
Exactly.
Accidents.
Yes. Linda, do you have any thoughts about, just in general, about brainstorming as a mystic, an artist, or a maker?
I like to start with a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It helps me to focus my priorities,
Yes.
which is once I get my priority, okay, then clarity follows very quickly, and then the ideas follow that very quickly. But it's getting the focus, even no matter whether I'm doing this as a like as a knitter or or it's something, a little more insubstantial as a mystic, I find yeah, thank you, Hypnicity. That's absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah.
Setting an intention. Thank you, thank you. That's what I was trying to say. I couch it in terms of prayer because that's my background and that's what I feel comfortable dealing with. Right? I'm used to it. I mean, it's something I've been on my knees since I was 3. But you
On a
know,
cracked sidewalk besides.
yeah. God. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I couch it that way. But yeah, I set my intention, and then I have clarity, and then the creativity just flows through the channel into the
Yep.
intention. I mean, yeah. Timmy says that they use a short meditation. Same thing. Exactly. You're right. You are correct.
Yeah.
I have to go ahead, Diana.
My first prayer is said in private. Oh God, don't let me spill any paint.
Oh my God. Oh God, please don't let me make a fool of myself. Please. Please
And
let me not
yeah.
be an asshole in front of people. Okay? Please prevent me from that.
And what happens is when you spill paint or you feel like you've made yourself look like a fool, that's probably been one of the most provocative and most authentic experiences that people watch, and it draws you in.
Like when
I love
I was
that.
like when we were making corn dolls and everything was going wrong for me on the show.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and okay, so I want to build on. I'm gonna say yes and with this because Diana talked about what I would call creating a physical environment that allows brainstorming to happen. If you're working on something for Alice in Wonderland, you're going to set up a little tea party. You're going to have all sorts of pieces of cake and all of that stuff. It is an environment that invites you in and starts to immediately transform you. Can you do this in a business setting? Absolutely. For an artist, a mystic, and a maker, I think it is an opportunity to really to go, okay, now we have this. I'm going to put flowers up. And so Linda also talks about the idea of ritual, the idea of saying a prayer, saying a meditation, because then what it does is it gives us permission to connect with the divine in our most authentic way. And you can even say, I always say the way you state your intentions are really important. I am open to the creative flow that comes forth. I mean, and that in and of itself is really powerful. It didn't say, oh, I try to do this. No, you just are. I allow it to flow through me. As I allow this to flow through me, I have more confidence in allowing more to flow through me. So,
Yeah, because then in a way it's not coming from you. Like
it's through.
it's through you. It's through you. It's your creative channel that you have with the divine, with source. And so you can be much freer. Speaking for myself, I feel much freer when I do that because I go, oh, what if I knitted a little toddler sweater that had its own built-in matching teddy bear in the pocket as a toy? Ah,
I want a mouse. I got a mouse in my pocket.
I got a mouse in my pocket. Yes. Well, see, and this is where, if you're brainstorming as an artist, this has been done for eons. It shows up in thumbnail sketches. It shows up as word maps. It shows up as mood boards. It shows up on the things that you hang up on your wall, the things that you collect in your pockets as you're taking your journey. It's the way you organize the food on your plate. Make that a regular thing. And I also am a big fan of allowing creative constraints to, I'm only going to be using the things that I have in this pile because I get overwhelmed. So there's a quote from Picasso about that. Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Yep.
And this is where the leader can come in very strongly, because draw attention to at least one thing of everybody in the room
Mm-hmm.
in a positive way.
Yes.
Acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
In a group, acknowledgement is so important, especially as has often been the case for me when you're the only woman in a group of men.
Mm-hmm. Yes. If we're thinking about this, constraints bloom creativity. No boundary means no traction.
Oh, can we bring up, Timmy, that is really brilliant, okay? Because there is a thing called, I believe it's the Apollonial palette. There's only 4 colors that you can use to paint. This is something from the Renaissance. Okay. Diana and I talked about this before. 4 colors: black, red, white, and yellow. And you have to create a painting. There's a group that does a course in a castle in friggin' Tuscany every summer, teaching how to use this technique. It's so incredible to see what people do with these 4 colors, how they get a blue for the sky, how they get shades of pretty much every color you need. I mean, talk about constraint for an artist, a painter, to be constrained to 4 colors and still be able to come up with a masterpiece. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Just ask a 4-year-old. How do you make brown?
Yes.
How do you make black? How did you make black? There was no black on that table. How
Exactly.
did you get that black color?
Yeah.
You know, and if we want to move this, you know, to a mystic, the idea of that is you begin with your intention. Light a candle, say a prayer, ask the question, what wants to come through? And allow that. And this is where journaling or automatic writing to receive without judgment. It may sound crazy to you. Write it down, because that's a key thing. And I think it's, you know, the winds of inspiration blow through open windows. You have to be open to allow this to happen. And so from a magical mind or a maker or whatever, you could create a sacred circle for ideas. You could call on all of the elements and all of the aspects and the deities. This is where the idea of what if ... becomes spell work. You could have colored paper for each element. You could start with watercolor. I know Annie Bear does watercolors, and Nalani splashes paint on purpose. There's beautiful ways to do it. And, you know, my big thing is the 4 pillars of the Magus: to know, to will, to dare, to keep silent. You just have to understand with it and connect to it.
Yeah. Use different modalities, if you will, like fingers rubbing the paint into the canvas, and then that's your background. And this is a pretty good example of what you were just talking about, Linda. The red, yellow, and white and black.
Yeah, that's an excellent example of it. But that's what I mean. I mean, that's a masterpiece with 4 colors.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Blew my mind.
It's just the right mixture.
Yes. Linda, will you put up a comment? I'm typing something into a banner, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry. Say that again. I was like not understanding. I don't understand.
Talk to people so that I can just type.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so the element of being able to connect with your, as a mystic artist or maker, being able to connect with your creative source. There's lots of different ways of doing it. There's ritual, there's prayer, there's setting your intention, there's all kinds of, well, all kinds. There are ways of doing it. And if that's what you want to do, if that's what you consider your what you want to do with your creativity, then find the way that works for you. Experiment. Um, you know, try different things. You might find that lighting a candle or some incense and walking around your work area to be a meaningful experience to open up your creative channel. You might find that just sitting and being quiet and meditating and asking for visions or writing or whatever it is, experiment and find out, because these methods all work, but they don't all work for everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
not everybody can use everything.
I also suggest you don't try to use everything at the same time.
Oh my God, no, please don't. You'll just, yeah. Yeah.
And
Go on.
if you spill paint by accident, not because you intended to, have fun with it. Take that as your moment of hilarity. And
Yeah.
mash your hand in it and smash it on a piece of paper and spread it around and do all the things that you can.
And then frame it.
Yeah.
And then frame it. And yes, I love this down here. Brainstorming is sacred. It says, I believe something beautiful will come.
No mistakes, only happy coincidences.
Oh, I love that so much. That gives me chills. I believe something beautiful will come.
Yeah.
And that's the intention. That's the core of the intention. Okay.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
core of
Beautiful.
what you're doing.
Beautiful.
When to pray, please, source, please, God, universe, angels, guides, send me something beautiful. What will it be?
This is it. It is something that I heard about the artist Prince as the musician, and I still call him an artist and whatever, formerly known as whatever. The thing that's really important is when he would create music, he would do all of these beautiful things to set the environment for the intended outcome. What was the desired outcome of the music?
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that song? What is it that how does that smell? How does that sound? What does it taste like? What colors would it wear? What types of clothes would it wear? Are there flowers? Are there roses? Things like that. Brainstorming is one of those things. You are just making it juicy for things to show up.
Yes.
Oh my God. And now he's just playing in my head. That's another thing. Music.
Yes. Music can be very helpful. Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Prince
Yeah,
had some moves,
did.
and I mean, and this is why I don't think Prince ever said no. I think Prince, and I don't know Prince. I've not talked to them. I still don't talk to them. But the idea of saying yes and then what happens? How do we put another layer on that?
Then what?
Look at how he was always willing to embrace a change.
Yes. Yes.
That's what you have to do in order to be a star. The most successful ones have done that, and they didn't all do it alone.
Yes. Yeah. And, inspiration exists, but it has to find you working, show up at the page. There's a lot of that that has been talked about.
Because
So,
Yeah. Sit in front of the keyboard and be ready to write whatever wants to come through your fingers.
Yes. I
Later
do
you edit.
Yeah. Editing is a different thing.
Yeah.
Don't
different
even think that this is editing. It's something completely different.
Yeah.
This has been a wonderful creativity conversation.
Yeah. You guys did great.
So,
What do you mean us? What about you?
Well, I wouldn't have been able to do it without you.
Well, none of us could have. That's the whole thing about brainstorming. Sorry.
I also think that's what's wonderful. Are you okay?
Yeah,
I needed a snort.
she needs a snort. And I wasn't providing her with one.
If you have watched all the way through this video, thank you very much. Leave your comments on some of your favorite ways to brainstorm down below. You can like this video. You can subscribe. All of our channels are listed below. I would encourage you to do that. And yes, creativity helps flush all the poop out of your head too.
Yep. Sure does.
Yes.
And channel, if there's a subject in particular and you can't get together with other people to brainstorm on how to do this, and you're still the person that has to do this, brainstorm with your guides, brainstorm the subject matter, channel with your guides, channel the subject matter that you have to be creative of. Like when I work on art for books, I become the bear in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I become familiar with the territory and area that bear lives in. Seriously, that has happened, and so those are the things. Just become the tree.
Yes. And by the way, Timmy was talking about that he had a horrible 5x5 painting or something like that. I know of some artists actually in their studios put up the pieces of work that they didn't like because they kept looking at them and going, and what could I do to make that different? How could I do this differently? What could I do? What could I do? And it's a process. Brainstorming, you get bolts of enlightenment. You can get, rained on. It can be a thought cloud where it's just more subtle and all that stuff. It could be a huge downpour. It could also be a huge tornado to where it suddenly goes, oh my gosh, and you whip through and you create something and you don't completely understand what it is.
And I've had this happen where I take all these things that are like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this one? This didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be. And you line them up and they suddenly make sense together.
Oh, yes.
And right, the incorporation begins.
And the idea of is
shows up or whatever,
Yeah. Well, and it's like rearranging tarot cards in a spread. You rearrange them, then you can tell a story. If you rearrange them again, what is that story? Ooh, there's that creativity conversation about rearranging the cards in a spread to see what story they tell. Ooh. I bet I could get Maru to come on for that one. I've already got Maru and Tom. I got to get that scheduled. So it's like, awesome. Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, Pamela, funny.
What did Pamela say?
Pamela whispered, well, there was a typo in what she first said, which is beautiful. Beautiful is all around us. And it's just above the comment that you've highlighted. Hang on a second here. Yeah, that's it. But there's a typo in it, right?
Yeah. I think it's great. If people need a brainstorming session, literally, I mean, and Maru, I keep saying I got to get them scheduled. But this idea of is what happens when you rearrange things? It's like Diana just said. It's like when you have placed things next to each other, they're telling a story, and suddenly you go, I didn't see that before. It's, I think David Bowie did that, would cut up pieces of a poem, pull them out, and then create a new structure of a song. Brainstorm, lots of different ways. There will be more creativity conversations. I do know I have one scheduled for, this is mean of me to actually say it, but it's on July 30th. It's going to be with Deborah Zachow and Linda Day Gonzalez, and it's the 30th. We're talking about following the fascination. And is that just cruel that you've got to wait for like that long?
Oh.
For the second part of
No. That's just the different one. That's the one with Deborah.
We know
and you and Linda.
Oh,
that's the following the fascination one.
Yeah.
And by the way, the look on Linda's face right now just says, Gerald, you need to schedule more of these. My creativity is flowing. Something has to be done.
Otherwise, I'm going to explode.
Right? It's up in the blender. I need another cup.
Yeah. I love that. That's so true. Oh my God.
Well, this is, I was trying to get this to be a shorter show. We're at 1 hour and 17 minutes. Are you pointing at me or pointing
at? I'm pointing at you. He thought this was going to,
it's actually opposite. It's the other direction.
Okay.
Yeah, that's you're pointing at me. This has been fun. Here's the other thing. The nice thing about brainstorming is when you get around the right people, so many ideas and possibilities can show up. You do lose track of time.
Yeah. And so try to surround yourselves, people. Try to surround yourselves with the kind of people that you find yourself at 2 o'clock in the morning going, oh my God, that's such a cool thing. And yeah, try to surround yourselves with people who do that to you, to your spirit,
Yeah. Well, and if you're not sure how to do it, you go, hey, I need a brainstorming session. We're not evaluating the ideas. We're just thinking. We're thinking and grabbing as many of them as we can.
Yeah.
I can show up for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time. I'm there.
Yes. And by the way, that's oftentimes what happens while we're in a show and what we do right after a show.
Yeah, we do brainstorm. That about you and I, Gerald, we do that just about every single time we do a show is afterwards go, yeah. You'll say, oh, I had an idea about, I mean, that's how Clue by 4 was born. Yep. That's how Gratitude Drives Abundance was born.
Yep.
That's how Self-Love, Self-Worth, that's how all of those collaborations were born, was discussions after stuff that we did. So yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Oh, and it's the 7/7 portal. There you go.
And didn't Uranus enter into Gemini today? Isn't that today?
Yeah. Yes.
And Mercury's gone retrograde today too, I believe.
Yes. And
I thought that was happening later.
That puts Uranus in with Sedna, because Sedna's at 1 degree and Uranus is in that power. All right. What needs to go?
And I do not know. I don't know who those people are and what they're doing close to Uranus.
I'll give you a lesson after the show. They're circling the drain.
I don't want to circle the drain.
Snort, Gerald? Was that you snorting?
Nothing. I didn't do anything.
That was Sister Mary Catherine blowing the cheese sandwich out her nose.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will say farewell. And please remember, in a world where you could be anything, be kind.
And just